Hi everyone, my name is Danny James, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to create this creative text effect that can be placed behind objects and people. On my timeline I have a video, and I'll select which part of the video I want to add the text behind the subject and animate it. Okay, so right at this point I will make a cut here, and then I will move forward a few seconds, maybe up to there, and I'm going to make this as a cut. So we are going to be making an effect on this part of the clip, and you're going to be adding those text effects. The next thing you want to do, you want to right click on this clip and replace it with After Effects composition. Alright, so we are on After Effects right now, and what you want to do, you want to make a selection of the subject, and that's the main basis of this effect. We need to have the subject separated from the background. The easiest way to go around this, you can use a Rotobrush. A Rotobrush is the easiest way to mask a subject without having to use the pen tool and having to track every frame and frame. So with this Rotobrush, I'll come back on the composition and I'll double click. As soon as I double click, I have this sort of like a cross which is in green, and I'll go around the subject and try to tell the software what portions I want. And you can see instantly we've been able to get a very fine result. If it went any way overboard, like if it went up to here, the way that you can remove this excess is by holding Alt and then come and draw around this outside, which is to tell the software you don't want that part. You can also tell it I don't want here, so it means you try your best and go inside up to the neck of the subject. We have an outline of the subject in less than 20 seconds. But we want to track this over the next like 4 seconds so that we can have him separated from the background. And then with a Rotobrush, you want to watch for these gray things here. I'll extend up to right here, and then I'll come back and we'll try to track this mask. So I'll click on freeze, and let's see if the software itself does a pretty good job. As you can see, the software is really doing a good job tracking, so I'm still waiting for it to finish. Again, as I say, it doesn't have to be a really perfect mask. We are done tracking this mask, but if we scroll through, the software really did a good job. And then once the subject turned around completely, the software stayed on the same places, so it was unable to recognize the new areas, and that's what I'll come to manually rectify right now. So I'll come right here, we're still under the layers panel, and I'll be like, okay, we want us to include this place, yeah, like that, and then we'll click freeze so that it can begin tracking from here to the rest. And as you can see, this small gray thing here, you have to actually extend it if you're trying to have it up to 18 seconds or something. It's up to you to tell the software how many more frames you are trying to freeze or to mask. And I'll now click freeze, and it will start from that point on to the end. Alright, so as you can see, we've been able to get a perfect outline of the subject. Let's scroll through and see. The Rotobrush tool has been able to do most of the tracking. So this means that we have an ideal mask of the subject only. And what you can do, let's go back to our composition tab. So we are on the layers tab whenever you're trying to work with a masking or a Rotobrush tool. And now if you come to the composition, we can see what we have been able to outline. Since the Rotobrush comes as an effect, you can change the feather, the contrast, and all that. So I'll do a few adjustments so that it can look good. What we want to do now, we want to duplicate this layer. I'll hit Ctrl D. So we have two layers of the same thing, both have this Rotobrush. But on the layer which is beneath, I'll delete the Rotobrush, or I can simply deactivate it. Now we have a layer which has everything as it was originally, and we have a layer above which has the subject only. You see? Now it should make sense. And what we want to do, we want to add texts, and the text layers will keep them between these two layers. For now, let's just create the text samples. I'll add something like Drake or Draco. Let's use this text for now, and I'll try to place the text somewhere in between with the subject, something like this. Alright, now that's the first thing that we can do. And now moving on, we'll only make duplications of this same text, and we'll change a few things about the text. As soon as we've had our first text, we'll make sure that it comes in for like maybe a quarter a second. Let's use frames 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames, and after 5 frames I'll hit Ctrl Shift and D. It cuts the layer up to this part, and now you can continue editing this layer. I'll change the font color to something else like that, like a red. I'll also change the font for the text, and then I'll reduce it in size. I don't want it to look exactly the same as the one which just passed. Alright, and you can also move it around. If we start on the timeline, it starts with a proper plain text, and then it switches to this one, and then we want to keep doing this up to like 5 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll hit Ctrl Shift D, and then I'll change the color of the text, and I'll also change the font. It's something that you can try out. You can mess around with any font and any looks that match your aesthetic, and then you can make this text very big. Alright, so we'll move from a white text, which is normal. Okay, so I want to really change this text. I don't like it. Okay, let's just work with it. I'll change from this text, and then we'll go to this, and then we'll go to this, and then let's go on and make a few more adjustments. And then right after we are done, at this point, I'll hit Ctrl Shift D, then delete the final layer, which is above. And you can see this is what it looks. Now let's nest these text titles. Let's put them in one place, but on After Effects we cannot nest, we can only pre-compose. That's the other way of saying nesting, so let's name it pre-comp. And then we'll try to loop these layers several times. So let's go into our pre-comp. This was the advantage. We click Ctrl A, and then right here after this one we hit Ctrl V. Okay, so we see we have a second layer of the same thing, and then I'll place them right after this one, so it will loop generally, and you can have that happen once again. So I'll click everything, Ctrl A, and then Ctrl C, and then right here I want to paste everything, and I will move everything to this place. Now we have it extending up to here, and you can add another one. You can just copy like 2 of them, whichever it is, come here and Ctrl V. And now we're able to go through all the 5 seconds that are there. And if we go back to our comp, I'll have to extend this. If we go back to our main composition, this is what everything looks like. You can see. And now for the catch, this is where everything happens. You just have to move this layer in between the 2 layers, and instantly you see some of the words get absorbed between the subject. And if we play it back, yeah, that looks really good. And so you can hit Ctrl Save, and then you can head back to your Adobe Premiere Pro timeline. Now back on our Premiere Pro timeline, you can see we have the linked composition that we just edited on Adobe After Effects. And if we try to play it back, everything should be normal. That is if you've followed the right methods and procedure throughout this tutorial. So let's play it back and see what we have. Yeah, as you can see, we've been able to pull off that effect, and it looks really nice and cool. If you made it this far, thank you for watching this video. Kindly leave a thumbs up so that the video can be recommended onto other users with the same interest as you. You can also leave a comment if you have suggestions or any queries from this tutorial. And with that, make sure to stay creative and cheers.